a graph of U.S. debt growth. And hold on, let me pull this over. I'm going to see if I can extract the image and make it bigger or something, because this is very small. How do I do this? I'm downloading it, and then I'm going to load it in so that we can zoom in on it. Sorry, guys.
To your point, while you're pulling that up, it's so strange to me that we would be talking about fiscal responsibility, that a lot of the MAGA folks in Congress are pretending like, even though Republicans do have the worst record on the debt over the last century.
We're not talking about fiscal responsibility. We're talking about Social Security. There's a difference.
No, I'm
mandatory
saying
spending.
No,
isn't
the reason
fiscal responsibility. Mandatory.
Okay, so the reason that I brought up, so I addressed that. You could solve it. The way that it's currently structured, you would have to supplement funding through a separate bit of legislation. But to what we're talking about with addressing debt and deficits, first of all, they need to get consistent, because Trump's record on that's horrible, was one of my points. And then also, you don't come into office if you're serious about addressing the debt and immediately decrease how much revenue the government's bringing in. And we didn't explode out.
It doesn't. I'm not talking. No one's talking about decreasing the revenue.
That's what cutting taxes is.
So everything you talk about is always, well, Donald Trump. I'm not talking about Donald Trump. I'm talking about the CBO has forecasted that the Social Security.
You're not hearing me.
The large spike was COVID. I actually don't know if Trump's debt was in any way more egregious than any of the past presidents. It looks rather linear.
Yeah, I just think if you, again, since this portrays it in a different visual, Axios, Trump, Biden debt, should pull it up. Trump does have, he added more to the debt than any president. But again,
this one says he ran up twice
COVID, to be
the debt.
I don't know about
Right. That's COVID.
No, exclude. Look, non-COVID.
Oh, I see. You're right. Yeah, non-COVID relief. Trump is more than double Biden. See Trump's position, and I don't give him credit for this one, is that you want to be under-leveraged. His idea is that you want to maintain growth above spending, and then it doesn't matter if you're.
But he failed to do that even before COVID. I think we agree.
I don't know. I mean, the economy was doing fairly well, regardless.
But if you look at the trajectory of Obama's economy, it's not like Trump improved the performance.
Let's start with.
What are you laughing about?
Because you're implying that Obama's economy carried over into Donald Trump, and that's why Donald Trump had some of a good economy. But all the bad things that happened because of Donald Trump.
You're not hearing me at all. I'm saying that if it were true that tax cut bill was going to significantly, so much so that it would help to balance out how much was being added to the deficit, thus debt. If that tax cut bill would be really economically stimulating, then why didn't we see that in the data year over year going from the end of Obama to the beginning of Trump? You would have seen a change in growth, a change in unemployment drops. I don't know why you're laughing.
Because of a picture that someone sent to me. So
it's just completely unrelated.
Okay. Yeah, totally unrelated.
Well, then I apologize for my tone.
It looks like Obama, if you remove COVID, it's hard to know for sure. It looks like Obama's debt was slightly greater than Trump's, but COVID put Trump over everybody else.
Yep.
So tracking the Obama years, 2008. So this is the year of 2008, which that's not fair, actually. If we go 2009, which is the first year that Obama was actually there, we're looking at like 12. And then he gets out in 2012. So it looks about 10 trillion. And then if you do Trump, it's hard to know because of COVID. There's a big spike during COVID, and he doesn't deserve. I don't give him a lot of credit for COVID, especially.
Right. Well, but we looked at the Biden it's Trump analysis, removing it, and then also Obama was recovering from the Great Recession. The first few years of Trump were economically stable times.
This actually is kind of weird, though. Biden starts 2021, and he's at like 27, and he ends at 35. Yeah. So it looks like Biden added a little bit less than Obama and Trump would have in the long run. COVID makes it anomalous. It's hard to track for sure.
Yeah. So my point is
Donald Trump.
One of the things I'm trying to not understand. One of the things
all of their spending is no good. Nobody gets credit for this one.
But
it's all horrible track records. If you look at Argentina, though, specifically what they did, they slashed government spending, eliminated entire departments, they laid off bureaucrats, they cut taxes, and it fixed inflation in their country. I don't see why we're not seeing this as the gold standard for something that we should be doing, as, of course, what you're describing is what's been happening for so freaking long, and the debt keeps going up and up and up. And you want more cancer to help with the cancer, more taxes, more rules, more regulations, more bureaucrats, more spending. I don't want any of that. I want the government government to act in a GoFundMe style fashion. If we want something, let the government raise a website where they raise funds for it independently. That's really what I ultimately want. We're screwed. We're in big trouble. And there's going to be a lot of big financial repercussions coming in 2025. And there's going to be a lot of tough situations for Donald Trump, which I don't know if he's going to be able to fix.
It's going to be World War III. And I'll give you the real simple version. Now that the interest on the debt is the largest line item, there's going to have to be a massive stimulus to dump money into the market so they can pay off the interest and the debt, which just devalues the currency, which means anybody holding U.S. debt is going to lose their shit, if you know what I mean. And then, Thucydides' trap, we're going to war with China. And then hopefully after we go to war, we win. And then we can tell them we have no more debt. So there you go.
China's been awfully quiet after that, huh?
Well, most of the debt the U.S. owes is to itself.
Yep.
So the debt is largely to the U.S. It's to various individuals, contracts, bonds, etc. The government likes to make promises they can't pay because they're like, we're the U.S. government. We got guns. We'll pay you eventually. Not a single president we've ever had in my lifetime deserves anything related to the spending. Republicans come out and they're like, we need to balance the budget, and then they don't. And then Democrats come out and they say, who cares about balancing the budget? So they don't. And then we just keep spending until... I think the challenge for most, until the insolvency of Social Security.
Yeah, 2033 is when it's alleged to be insolvent. That's what the CBO says, and it doesn't matter what Donald Trump or Joe Biden did in the past. Right now, what we're talking about is what's going to happen in the future, and unless there are significant changes to mandatory spending, not discretionary spending, so it doesn't matter that we send pennies to Ukraine or pennies to Israel, because in the grand scheme of it, the amount of money that we're sending to both Israel and Ukraine is irrelevant. We need to deal with the unfunded liabilities, the mandatory spending, the Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. They need to be restructured, but you can't touch them without everybody saying, oh, you hate grandma and want to throw her off a cliff.
My view on this is I don't know why the government should be isolated from any other market force. If you work for a company and then you show up to work one day and your boss is like, hey, I'm sorry, we're out of business. And you go, but my healthcare is gone. It's like, yeah, I'm sorry. Nobody's buying carpets anymore. And so we can't sustain this and we're done. And you're not going to get paid. But when it comes to government, they're like, I'm pretty sure there's someone somewhere we're going to point a gun at to make sure they pay so I can make sure you keep getting your Medicare.
Yep.
And then they go, works for me.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's different being a citizen versus whenever you actually own the currency and stuff. But I agree we need to do something about it, which is why I'm critical of. Like, it's crazy to me that we can.
You do. You totally want to bring up Donald Trump.
We can.
I know you want to bring up Donald Trump.
Yeah, it's just weird that you get
Is he in the
upset
room
that
with us now?
He's. Who do you think they're all concerned about the opinion of? All the people in Congress who are Republicans. I'm saying if you guys are serious about the government efficiency stuff and all that, it's so ridiculous that we would do what Trump did last time, which would do the opposite of getting us closer.
Oh, no, I agree, but he's not going to do what he did last time.
And I disagree with Donald.
I disagree. Tax cut bill.
I disagree with Donald
That's
Trump
good.
anyway.
We need to cut taxes. We don't. Why do you want more taxes? Why do you want
You
more
can't
of them?
tax your
That's
way out of
sociopathic.
this.
That's crazy
Okay,
with the way that
first-
things have been going. It's insane.
The last one disproportionately benefited a lot of big companies and wealthy people, but then didn't have the returns and growth that Trump promised. So I don't think we should be sacrificing people's Social Security checks for the sake of a wealthy person's private jet write-off thing.
I don't agree with Donald Trump either, okay? Because I think you need to restructure Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid.
My solution...
And so that's what Donald Trump wants. Donald Trump doesn't want to touch that, and I think he's wrong. Just to get that out in the open so that way, you can stop associating me with Donald
Here's
Trump.
the LA Times.
That's different than the
wanna read
amount of... Yeah, you can read it. Do I want to read it?
Oh, whoever. You want to read it?
Most readers react. Most Americans got a tax cut under Trump, but the left's messaging made us believe a lie.
Matthew Iglesias of Vox.com famously said, nobody likes to give themselves credit for this kind of messaging success, but progressive groups did a really good job of convincing people that Trump raised their taxes when facts say a clear majority got a tax cut.
Yeah, I did not say raise their taxes.
I'm not saying you did. I'm just pointing out that under Donald Trump, most people got a tax cut.
The fact that
and the left claimed it wasn't true.
Portion. Okay, well then, I know that people got tax cuts who weren't wealthy, but my point is that for a priority at all to be cutting taxes in ways that disproportionately
stimulates
benefit
growth.
wealthy folks. It is wild. It doesn't stimulate growth.
No, I don't think it stimulates growth.
If you cut taxes,
Inflation went down from 25% to
Depends.
3% in just a year, with Javier Milei literally proposing eliminating 98% of all taxes.
If you had 98% taxes, yes, then cutting them would stimulate growth. But at the point where we are now, we have test cases. We've seen Trump's last administration. Sorry to trigger you bringing it up.
Well, I mean, that's the only thing you got. But
That's what we're talking about. He's the incoming.
well, I mean, that's what you're talking about all the time.
Let me clarify. I think the issue of stimulating growth is not as simple as to say it's a tax cut or a tax raise.
No, not at all.
The issue is that it's what the government does when it comes to taxes.
Rolling back regulation would do more than a tax cut would. So if you got rid of a lot of the
Depends
regulations,
on what regulations.
well, of course it depends on what
bro.
regulations, but generally,
I had this debate with Sam Cedar, and I'll take this opportunity to clarify some points. Not that his audience cares, but when it comes to like the regulation of harmful materials, which is what we are typically referring to, like lead and stuff, I'm in agreement. Like there should be more regulations. I'm on the RFK Jr. train. Phthalates, PCBs, all of these things, we need heavy regulation. But if we're talking about general business regulation, we were not able to open a coffee shop in 2 years.
yeah. I mean, granted, that's a lot of that stuff. Oh, actually, no, I can't speak for your
Local ordinance.
Yeah, so
Regulations are nuts.
there's a lot of times it is local and stuff like that. But generally, regulations make it difficult to do business. This is not some kind of difficult or it's not some kind of crazy right-wing conspiracy to say that regulations from government make it harder to get things done.
But let's clarify too.
It's a cost-benefit analysis of how much is the consumer being protected. Like a lot of the EPA regulations that Trump rolled back are frightening with what it allows companies to do.
Do you know I did it?
Do I know why Trump? He was really big on the deregulating
Do you know why he deregulated?
to help companies prosper.
He did, yeah. And so
And I don't like that trade-off. The companies can do absolutely wonderful and also not dump toxins into waterways.
the issue was, I don't completely disagree, but the issue was that in China they don't have these regulations. So they're basically, have you ever seen a picture from like China and the smog? They have like that big LED screen where it's like a sunrise because it's brown everywhere you go. Yeah. So China's attitude is basically, we do not care about the earth. We do not care about pollution. And Trump said, okay, we need to stop our factories and our production from going to China. What do? There's a few things you have to do. Tariffs is one, and deregulate. So when Trump goes to, say, like a widget manufacturer, hypothetical, and he says, I want your factory here in the United States. What does it take to get you here instead? And they said, Mr. President, we can't. The regulation limits the amount of insert chemical we're allowed to have as a byproduct, so we can't do it. China doesn't care. Not to mention, the cost of manufacturing in China is 75% lower, and we can just ship it back here, and we make a 35% gain. So then Trump said, okay, what if I remove some of these regulations on, say, carbon emissions and certain chemicals, allowing you to produce here? They said, well, then we could, but we're still dealing with a cheaper product. And he goes, if you don't, I'm putting a tariff on your product. And then they were like, well, I mean, that's going to cost us money. And he goes, I don't care. So Trump launched tariffs, got into a trade war, and then deregulated in an effort to bring manufacturing back to the United States. I'm not saying it's good or bad. That's just what he did. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.